Hey everybody, what's up? How we doing tonight? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream, to the next iteration of the Final Fantasy XVI lecture stream series. Glad that you're with us, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on YouTube archives. Glad that you are here. Glad you're here. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Hey Norel, what's up? Good to see you. Hope all is well with you as well. Things are great for me. Things are great for me because I just started fall break, baby. I only teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I taught my last class today. And so I'm on fall break. Very, very exciting. Excited for a few days of rest. Got to show off my new mug. Somebody gave me this for my birthday. Check it out. Notice the Moombas, the Chocobos, the Tonberries, and the Cactuars. How cool is that? Isn't that neat? Pretty fun, pretty fun. Pretty good times. Hey, it's cool. I think that he got it from Redbubble. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's from Redbubble. You may be able to find it on there. So, I don't know. Search Tonberry, Moogle, Chocobo, Moomba, Mug, Cactuar. Hello, just got home from work. Got dinner in the microwave. Heck yeah. What's up, Nicole? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome back to the chat. Everybody, we're going to have a good night tonight. So, again, we are pacing ourselves before we get to Bahamut/Dion, because as I told you, we're going to do that next Tuesday night. And the reason for that is my much teased cosplay of Dion is coming next week. So we're going to save the Bahamut sequence for next Tuesday, which I believe is coincidentally Halloween. So we're going to have a Halloween Bahamut Dion time, which will be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Hey, some dude, what's up? Good to see you. Good to see you. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? We've got a little bit to do tonight. Tonight's lecture portion of the stream is going to be a little bit more... it'll be very focused into one specific part. There's one thing that I want to talk about tonight, but we are going to stop just shy of getting into Bahamut. So we'll go ahead and get started. So let's begin. Hey everybody, I am ProfNoctis. You can also call me Wade. That's my real name. But I am excited that you're with us. I'm an actual university instructor over at the University of Alabama, where I teach religion, humanities, Western classics, some psychology, all kinds of stuff, mentoring classes, and I do all of this through video games. My dissertation was on Final Fantasy XV and how to use it to teach Judeo-Christian kingship narrative. So that's been really, really fun. And tonight we're going to continue with our Final Fantasy XVI philosophy of religion drive. Hey, thank you for the follow, Heartless Angel. Great name, by the way, Heartless Angel 17. Potatoes, hey, what's up? How are you doing tonight? Well, let's go ahead and dive into it. Where we last left off, we had just done a ton of side quests, everybody, and so we should be a little bit better leveled than we were last time, which we love. But now we're going to go into notoriously one of the bigger grinds of the game. Hey! Thank you for the sub. Oh my gosh. Heartless coming in swinging tonight. Thank you for the follow and for the sub. Appreciate you. Big, big appreciation. Well, tonight we're going to go through some of the desert sequence. So we're going to go into that right now. Let me change up some things on the stream and we will dive right in. All right.
Sid's uncle?
It was.
Off we go down to Dalamil. It didn't show yours, but you renewed your sub. Ah, with your Prime. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the resub. We love it. I really appreciate that. Y'all are awesome. Okay, why don't we'll come back to Dalamil, maybe. Well, no, we'll go down to Dalamil right now. I have an extra wild theory about Lubor. Spoilery for now, though. Okay, yeah, we will do his side quest later on in the game when his final side quest opens up. Oh, let me go this way.
Shouldn't be too hard to track down Karen's collector.
The same Drake's fang is gone.
Okay, we do have to do this blacksmith quest. I'd forgotten about that, so we're going to do that really, really quick. Oh, here we go.
My reputation will be ruined. Ruined!
Calm yourself, Lord Ignac, I beg of you, before you do yourself a mischief.
Before you do yourself a mischief.
But
Out! Get out! I paid for these rooms so I wouldn't be disturbed. Leave me be!
Please, allow me to apologize. His lordship is going through a difficult time, and he's never been fond of guests arriving unannounced.
Radim! Get rid of the filthy oaf this instant!
It's instant.
Very good, Lord Ignac. Would you mind stepping outside for a moment?
I'm sorry if I've caused you any trouble.
That? Oh, no. That's just how his lordship is. Though the morning's events have left him somewhat fractious. He's been dispossessed of his luggage, you see. The thieves also made away with a considerable amount of coin. Coin the innkeeper will soon be keen to collect.
I don't suppose a certain blade was among the stolen items. A single-edged sword. It was purchased from a merchant friend of mine.
Ah, you know Lady Karen. Yes, I'm afraid it was.
Then I'll retrieve Lord Ignac's luggage.
I will never get over the sadness of these blacksmiths.
You are welcome to anything that is within my power to grant.
I feel like Clive should open up like a counseling clinic,
Should be enough.
just to help people like cope a little bit. Let's develop some grit, some resilience.
Of course, you shall have your audience.
I don't suppose you saw where the thieves went.
I did not, no. Though some discreet inquiries made on his lordship's behalf mean that I know where you might find them.
The bandit's bed.
Every ill-gotten coin in Dalamil is said to pass through that disreputable corner of the Valcroy.
And that's where I'm heading.
I shall speak to Lord Ignac in your absence, and arrange for an audience upon your triumphant return.
Ansem's Wise
Very kind of you.
says, "Hey Professor, super off topic, but I've never played the original FF7. I'm wondering if the Sephiroth clones part of the original game." Well, if you've not played the original, then here's what I would say. I don't want to go too much into the ins and outs of that for you, because they are telling a story that is going to be revealed a little bit more. What I will say is that is not unique to Remake. There's a lot... oh man, it's all the way up there. So the Sephiroth clones are a thing, but you don't figure out what they are until quite a bit later. And my bet is that we're going to learn a little bit more about what they are in Rebirth, and then eventually we'll learn all of them probably in part 3, and what they are and what that means. I've been doing a lot of thinking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake lately, and while I'm not entirely sure I'm going to stream these games, I try not to stream new games, like first playthroughs of new games. Number one, I know that people don't really watch me for that sort of thing, but also there's just a lot of kind of mean-spirited people that want to go in and to chats and spoil things, and so I don't really do that. But what I will say is I am preparing some content regarding Final Fantasy VII leading up to the release of Rebirth that I think is going to be really interesting. The Hideaway is definitely missing a counselor. Yeah, for real. They could make bank. Like, everybody needs it. A lot of, let me touch back. Ansem, a lot of people would say that you should play Final Fantasy VII Original in order to fully understand the remake. I've actually been encouraging a lot of my students not to do that. In fact, I was talking to one of my students literally yesterday. We sat in my office and we talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake because she finally finished it and Intermission or Intergrade. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Oh, dodge better. Be best. Oh my gosh, what is happening? You gotta remember, Ansem, this is part of a trilogy, and so there are gonna be some things that you are absolutely confused about. I am not among those who say that 7 Remake is a sequel to the original. There are those that are, but I'm pretty loud in my disbelief of that. Because I think that by the end of the trilogy, even though it's going to take some waiting, everything is going to be unveiled. So, if you have confusion and questions, I liken it to when Star Wars, the original trilogy, came out. Nobody really, like, it was cliffhangers galore, and they had to wait a few years before some of those cliffhangers really were really known. I mean, imagine end of Empire Strikes Back, you find out that Vader is Luke's father, and it's like, what in the world does that even mean, right? How could that be? All that kind of stuff. And so we are getting the same thing to a degree with Final Fantasy VII Remake compilation. Now, I have tons of theories that I would probably like to share, but at some point, but not quite yet. Let's see. Wait, a sequel denier? I knew you were based. Yeah, from day one, I've said that this was not a sequel. I refuse to believe it's a sequel. And the reason that I refuse to believe it's a sequel is because I think that in the end, it will be able to completely stand alone on its own merit, and you will not have to return to the original in order to understand Final Fantasy VII Remake. Right now, it makes sense that you would go back and play. And I like the way that they've kind of built that into the world as well, right? They're saying that this idea of fate is the story of the original game, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm actually going to put together some reasoning for that at a later date. But, yeah, anyway, let me get back to the fight and the chat and all that kind of stuff. Like, did Sephiroth try to convince Cloud that something is off about Tifa in the original? Yes, but just like in everything in Remake, that was a couple of lines, and it was lines of text, where it seems like it may be a whole chapter in Rebirth, right? So yes, he did do that. You got to remember that everything is enhanced and expanded in Remake, and so things that were like not even a theme in Remake, other than just like a throwaway line, are being turned into like hours of content. So, yeah, it will feel a little bit different, but he did try to convince Cloud that something was off about Tifa. I'm told the later installments of 7 Rebirth had other playable characters. What do you mean?
What shall I call you, my good man?
Are you talking about FF7 Part 3?
A formidable name indeed.
At that point, all of the characters will be playable. Sid, Vincent, as well as Yuffie, Kate Sith, and
of your time should suffice, yes.
Red 13.
You're a peculiar fellow, Wyvern.
I really hope this game gets the same treatment. What do you mean, some dude?
Master Wyvern was wondering if you could tell him about a certain single-edged sword.
Just 100%ed a 7 remake the past week. Congratulations, Potatoes.
True work of art, that one. Karen drove me hard on the price of
Hey, thanks for the follows. Stardust in
It
Space.
was made in the outer.
That's a good name. Stardust in Space. In part 3, we will be able to finally play Matthew Mercer. Finally, man.
School of swordsmanship.
We love
No combat
Matthew
shall
Mercer.
ever exceed a single strike and hone their blades to
What is your
such
favorite Matt
perfection
Mercer role up to this point, everybody?
Each sword is
Those of
made
you that
for
know him.
One perfect stroke, and for that stroke only, they crack upon a second blow.
I gotta go with
Brutal sort of beauty to it, really.
Sid from 15.
How do they hide so
Not Sid. Core from 15.
Fine question.
Love that guy.
Why, they use a whetstone, of course. Whetstones, rather. A whole array of them.
He's
ranging
great.
from the coarse to the fine. 10,000 licks with the sharpening stone, then 10,000 more. But it is the final stone which lends the blade its legendary sharpness.
What's up, supportive?
Mineral.
I forgot that we were in the midst of this blacksmith quest. I was just pushing buttons, but here we are. You get me talking about 7 Rebirth. It is on my mind a lot. Like I said, I had a student come into my office and we rewatched the ending as well as some key scenes, and I kind of gave her my thesis on what I think is going on. Something that I have not
Far rarer among collectors than even the blade itself.
really said on here.
And a far fitting.
Olivier from the Trail series. Okay, I've never played the Trail series, Nickel.
The intrusion, Your Lordship.
Never played it. It's surprisingly Core as well. Yeah, he's awesome. Core the Immortal. Oh my gosh, that guy.
So it is.
Honestly, I'm not sure about what that game has, but I heard different characters had different weapons and playstyles. They do. And I think that's one of the coolest things that we get in 7 Remake. I love the party system in 7 Remake. Fitz, what's up? How are you? Probably Yusuke in Persona 5. Whoa, was he Yusuke? No way. Was he really?
I can imagine.
Huh.
Farewell, Wyvern. May our paths cross again.
Minsk and Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, so I can't speak to that one, but it's on my list. Oh my gosh. It's on my mind a lot because I bought that damn collector's edition. Oh, man. Rebirth is? I bought it too, man. I'm very excited. I heard some people were upset because he was a replacement, but I think he does a good job. I think anytime you can get him in, it's going to be a good job.
Trust Uncle Byron. to
Matt
find
Mercer,
such
number 1.
interesting
Cassidy in Overwatch. Wow. Okay. The professional Persona player.
Stone, shall we?
I don't know if I'm a professional Persona player. Fitz, though. Fitz is. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Look at all these side quests. We are not doing side quests tonight. We're going to get on with our lives. That's the goal tonight. So, back to it. It's one of your favorite because it sounds so different. Yeah, he's so good. How long is the list? Oh, my backlog? My backlog is ever growing in this year of dreams of video games. I've lived a long time, you guys, and I do not remember a year where we have had so many banger games come out in the course of 1 year. And it's only going into into the spring as well. I mean, February is going to be a ridiculous month. You add onto that the rumored Elden Ring DLC, good grief. So my backlog is massive at this point. But I am playing Mario Wonder and Spider-Man right now, so I'll say that. Run from trails. You'll never have any time to play anything for a year. Yeah, I can't. I can't do it.
This used to be a trade route for merchants crossing
The amount of side quests really overwhelmed you.
Probably
Agreeable.
a new road wide enough to let wagons pass, and all official traffic moved there.
Leaving this one
Look at that
goes
beautiful
to the
water.
outside the law.
Look at it.
Indeed. I doubt we'll be the only outlaws on the trail today.
Lies of P is next for me after Spider-Man and Mario Wonder. The side quests in 16 is definitely easier to do than in past games. They're very straightforward, and I both like and dislike that. You can see my full opinion in my video on side quests. But I have some critiques. They're not bad. I love the lore in them. I love the world building in them. But the gameplay does get a little bit samey. For real, you're at 80% Spider-Man. Oh man, I wish I've had time to play Spider-Man. But this weekend was the Tennessee game in Bama. Did everybody see the video that I posted about Big Al dressing? The Alabama mascot, the elephant, dressing up as Mario. It was like the perfect Mario Wonder crossover. You wish there was more dialogue too between characters when traversing the world. Biggest thing I missed from Final Fantasy XV, they were talking all the time whenever you're going anywhere. And here they're like, it's a need to talk basis. That's it. I do kind of have an itch to play Tears of the Kingdom again. Yeah, Hoven, I get that. I just beat that game last week, and what a great game. Oh, I hate these guys.
Really? It's as bad as that? Oh,
Hey, welcome home from work, Lady of the Rings. You haven't missed too much. Just vamping. We did a blacksmith quest.
Oh, what about this fearsome-looking fellow?
But I hope you've all seen my mug with chocobos, tonberries, cactuars, and moogles. How cool is that?
Well met.
Birthday present.
My brother and I have been tasked with finding a merchant's missing carts. You seen it by any chance?
How does a merchant misplace his cart?
Oh, the man's a coward. When he thought goblins might come a-snarling, he ran, leaving his livelihood
Blacksmith
abandoned
therapy
in the
is
past.
important. You're right.
Sent the two of us to fetch it, but it's gone. Now, I'm not much of a thinker.
Lies of P is a game that I am incredibly excited about. Very, very excited to play.
And by my
As a huge fan of Bloodborne,
bastards
oh
are
my
running
gosh.
away, just
Can't
down the
wait.
road.
We may have seen our share of action, true, but we've
That side quest video is low-key super on point. Hey, thanks some dude. I tried to use some research out of Florida State to utilize some of these.
What do you say?
So I have a question since I came into these streams late. Did you notice that Clive brings up his 13 years in 3 distinctly different speeches before the time skip? No, say more about that. We didn't mention that. Well, talk to me about that.
Well, if I'm going to have to deal with them anyway.
You've clearly got a fine head on those broad shoulders.
We're lucky you came along. Now, hoping to make a heavy purse in Boklad, our merchant friend loaded his cart with as much as it would carry. Reckon he won't be forking over the rest of our fee if we don't find those goods.
Y'all, I have a question. This doesn't have to do with Final Fantasy XVI, but at what age does every guy shave their head and grow out a beard?
Just don't expect me to drag the cart out of there myself.
I've noticed it happens to everybody. It's almost like when you adopt the World War II persona, like you just watch World War II documentaries. I think there's a moment in a man's life when they shave their head and grow their beard and just start working out all the time. I don't know if I'm at that age yet. I also don't think that I would be awesome with a shaved head, but Oh yeah, that was a good video. Went along with how you felt about the quest in 16. I have to say, I would have given a lower letter grade though.
Wait, I should probably take care of them.
Yeah, I gave it a high grade because of the story portions of the game, or excuse me, the world building of those side quests.
These must be our bandits.
The rewards are fine for the most part, and so, but the gameplay diversity is what absolutely kills it for me. Oh no, I'm not doing a good job here. Oh my gosh, what is happening to me? Okay, get out of that. Get away from there. There we go. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me focus for a second. Oh, ah. Oh boy. My brother got those balding jeans ripped. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the catalyst. Regardless of age, that seems to be the moment that people start thinking about it. Ooh, ow, ow, ow. Okay. Alright, let's get him. First one is when he talks about eating from a gutter and hopes to get revenge. Second one's with Jill in the barn. 13 years. Without any hope as he looks up to the moon. Third is when he finally resolved to help others. I spent 13 years never thinking about life or having it. Okay, what do you make of that? And there's 13 years. What do you think is there any significance to that? The world building in 16 is super good. I liked how they treated the crystals like a national resource, like water or agriculture. Yeah, really interesting stuff there, I think. Wow, wow, wow. Mm. 13 is a number of wholeness. 3 is oftentimes used to represent new life. That's true. That's true.
That's them dealt with. Now, where's that card?
Where's that card? Yeah, I think that there's probably something to that. 13 is a number of wholeness is interesting. I've heard 12 and then 12 plus 1 can become kind of like perfection. And then it's thought that maybe adding to perfection by 1 is like the next level beyond perfection or completion. I definitely find Clive's age to be interesting post time skip. 32.
And how exactly will he be getting his goods out?
Ha! Fitz, how much did you think about the Roman Empire? What was your answer?
Warrior haul cabbages to market.
You've done your part. And that's all you need to worry about. Here.
Yeah, 13 is an unlucky every day. Yeah, I think about it about 5 times a day, but that's also part of my my job.
There's no need to be so
13 is an unlucky number in the West. Bad news comes in 3s, and trinities aren't always bad. Yeah.
Next time.
It moves culture to culture, for sure. For sure. Okay, these guys. Hey, we gained a level, so that wasn't all worthless. That was good. Thank you, friends. Okay, so as we move forward here, I know that we are going to hit a couple of cutscenes coming up, and they have to do with Dion / Bahamut. And while we are doing our full discussion of Dion / Bahamut next time, you remember that part of our purpose of this is to think in terms of a philosophy of religion. We've said that dominance and icons represent to some degree the divine image. Oh my gosh, what is this? A raid? Dabster plays raiding with a party of 10. What is up, you guys? Oh my gosh, welcome, welcome, welcome. I love it. Welcomes. Thank you so much.
The path continues on the other side.
Dabster, how's it going? Dabster. Oh my gosh, how you doing? What have y'all been up to? What you been playing over there? '16's good. We just finished up some side quests. We're about to get into our first portion of the lecture stream. We're kind of just chilling tonight. We've got a big lecture stream next Tuesday where we talk about one of my favorite characters, and we are cosplaying next Tuesday. So, because it's Halloween, right? Got to. Started with a spooky game and switched to 7 Remake after you got tired of that. What was the spooky game for Halloween? I'm cosplaying Dion next week because we're doing a the entire stream next week is about Dion and Bahamut, and I'm going to talk about some of the philosophical and religious implications of Dion dressed as Dion, which will be really fun. Sorry I'm late. Hope you had as great a weekend. Oh man, I had a great weekend. Anytime we can beat Tennessee, heck yeah, roll tide. Heck yeah, roll tide. Am I excited for Rebirth? Yeah, I was talking about it a little bit earlier on stream. I'm incredibly excited for Rebirth. I've got some ideas, some theories about what exactly is going on in Rebirth. I specifically have some ideas about what's going on with Zach, and that actually lends itself to something larger that I'm kind of working on. Kind of doing some crowdsourcing right now for some peer review stuff. So yeah, Rebirth is going to be amazing. Not just for story reasons, but gameplay. Oh my gosh, the gameplay looks amazing. A student dropped by my office yesterday, and we just watched tons of Rebirth stuff because she just finished 7 Remake, and so I got to tell her a little bit about that. I'll have to wait for the PC port, but I'm hyped to see it till then. 7's your favorite universe? It's so good. It's so good. Oh my goodness. I missed something a little bit earlier. I want to go back to it. Nickel, you said with that idea, those 3 moments represent him coming to terms with the wholeness of his life. So far, he enters into a new life, a new goal. I love that. I like the idea of splitting him up into thirds at Clive's journey of young Clive, middle Clive at like 28, I think, and then 32, or maybe 27, 32, something like that. Yeah. So anyway, really, really good stuff there, Nickel. I like that his thinking about those 13 years as wholeness, and he's on this journey of wholeness. I think that's pretty good. So, like I was saying, one of the things that we do on the stream is we try to connect the icons and the dominants with figures of from religious stories, things like priests, things like kings that in some ways embody the divine. Then we also try to connect the icons and their dominance with specific traits of the divine. So we've talked, for example, about Titan having the power of the gods or the power of God. We've talked about Rama having provision or protection from the divine. We've talked about Ifrit having fury or wrath. And we talked a little bit about Shiva. We'll talk about it more, having love, compassion, mercy, maybe some level of stability or harmony of the divine. And then we also spoke about Garuda, and Garuda is divine control. It's interesting that the stories of each of the dominants, those that can summon these powers, in some ways mirror that same attribute. And they have an agency of choosing life or death, and enacting that divine power or attribute accordingly, right? So they can bring life and prosperity or death and destruction. We kind of camped out at Deuteronomy chapter 30 over that one. So pretty interesting stuff. Up here, we're going to have a scene regarding Dion Bahamut. So it's time for us to start thinking, and we'll really get into this next Tuesday. We'll start thinking about what is Dion / Bahamut's divine attribute. What is being said about God or the gods of mythology, of religions in the real world through Dion and Bahamut. So if you've got ideas, we'll throw them out tonight, and then we'll really dig in on next Tuesday. Remember, we don't have a stream on Thursday because your boy's on fall break. But okay, we'll just hop right up here, and then we're going to learn a little bit. This is a really cool scene, really cool story side thing.
So this is Zemeckis.
The land of the gods. It's even more impressive than I imagined. I remember being captivated by the story as a child.
Long, long ago, man was overcome by avarice and challenged the gods in a bid to win their power. The final battle took place here, at these falls. Or so the legend goes. If anyone ever manages to plumb those depths, perhaps we'll learn if there's any truth to the tale.
That the gods emerged victorious and punished man for his defiance by visiting upon him 2 curses.
Dominance and bearers. To tell the truth, I always thought it strange that the dominant and their icons were deemed a curse.
There you go, Nickel.
Back home, the dominant inherited the throne. They were admired and exalted, not spurned. Whenever I got to that part of the story, I always assumed there must be something I'd misunderstood.
You had a lot of storybooks, didn't you? In your room, I mean. When we were young.
The old legends were always my favorites. Epic battles between gods and men. Father encouraged me to read as much as I could. He thought it good for my education.
You really were a boy like any other, weren't you?
Just look at this place. It's enough to make you believe the legends are true.
I know.
Mong. What's up, Claymore?
We're not far from Boklad. The road will be busier up ahead.
And we'll have to keep our wits about us. Clive? Something wrong?
Nothing. It's nothing.
All right, let's talk about that really, really quick. That's some good stuff. So here we learn that from an early age, Clive has always been talking, really interested in these ideas of these stories of gods and men and these ancient epic battles, all this kind of stuff. It's really interesting because remember what Ultima calls Clive, right? Mythos. He is the one that embodies all of these myths, all of these stories. He even absorbs these stories. And we've been talking about how Clive absorbs and takes into himself the powers and the attributes of these icons. So when he defeats Garuda, he assimilates her ability to control within himself. He defeats Titan, strength, power, might within him, divine might. Sid/Rama, this idea of protection, provision for those that are in need. He embodies all of these stories. Clive the Sponge, that's actually a really great piece of this. What we learn here is that this is not a new thing for him. He's been collecting all of these stories, and this conveys an incredibly important piece from the Greek idea of mythos. It is the idea that these stories convey a greater truth, and when assimilated into society, they result into a societal logos, which will definitely become important a little bit later on in this stream series, especially if you know the story of this game. So this dynamic between mythos and logos is always kind of playing together. Now, what I would say to you is that we are in this mode right now of leaning deeply into the mythos, learning these stories. There is oftentimes a tension for people to want to choose mythos or logos. In post-Enlightenment days and in kind of first century days of Greco-Roman world, there was this tendency to say we've outgrown mythos and we want to embrace logos. What I would want to propose to you today is that these two pieces serve unique and complementary roles. And so in Clive, we see an embodiment of the mythos. What that means, we will continue to talk about as we begin to move toward the end of the game. But it's interesting to me here that he is captivated by these stories of fighting the gods and then being inspired and enjoying those stories. There's something about these formative stories. Now, here's what I'd like to say to you. Whether you are religious, spiritual, or whatever, or not, any of those things, everyone has mythos in their life. Everyone has myths or stories that they find foundational, whether it is religious or secular. Either way, some people say the Bible is an inspiring story to them. It helps them kind of think through their lives. Other people would say Star Wars does this. Other people would say Final Fantasy does this. In fact, I'm using this as a mythos, right? To try to help people understand themselves better and kind of the world around them a little bit more. So everyone has mythos. And again, we can talk a little bit more about that in the future. But what do you do with that? And that's kind of the question for us. So speaking of mythos, we now kind of turn toward Dion and Bahamut, and we'll kind of move to that next. I want to catch up on chat before I go back to the game, though. It says, in my opinion, Jill is the most interesting character. I wish she had more screen time before Endgame. Yeah, me too. The dynamic of growing up a ward is fascinating to you. Game of Thrones had that too. Yeah, it did. Clive the Sponge, yep, that's interesting from a character perspective too, because he's never portrayed as being super religious like some characters, right? But rather, he's a lot more open-minded and, well, spongy. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now, he's incredibly religious when it comes to the Phoenix, right? But he has a kinship to that, which says something about our kind of familial alliances. I have students all the time that get mad at me because I am shaking the faith of their grandparents. It's like they come into my classroom and they're like, that's not what my family has always believed. I'm like, oh, okay. And again, we choose data over dogma. We choose truth over fact, all that kind of stuff. So there we go. Lady of the Rings, and so he isn't limited to one train of thought, and that helps him with his arc, not to get spoilery. That's okay, we will get there. Hold on to some of these things. All right, with that, let's dive back into the game. It's a big moment for us to think about Dion and Bahamut, and perhaps Bahamut's divine attribute.
I see the reports are true, Father. You have surrendered the throne to Olivier.
I have. Emperor Olivier shall rebuild the Holy Empire of Sanbreque.
How is he to rule an empire? He is but a boy.
I shall advise him until he comes of age.
Father, please.
Or for as long as I am able. The empire we seek to build needs young blood to rule it. and I can think of none better suited to the task. There is other news, Dion. Hugo Kupka is dead, and Drake's Fang destroyed. The pillars of the Republic have fallen. Ere long, the Imperial banner shall fly over every city in Storm. And then Valisthea. All shall bow before their Emperor.
Father, these are the words of a tyrant.
They are the words of a god. The Emperor whom I gladly serve. Great Greco, made flesh.
That's big. That's...
Return to your camp, Dion, and ready your forces. It is time to show the world the true power of Sanbreque.
Father, I find you much changed. Is this truly the path you wish to tread? Or are these the ambitions of another? Of Ultima, perhaps?
What nonsense is this? I speak my mind, and my mind only. Though I do owe Annabella thanks for reminding me of certain truths regarding the nature of nations, of rulers, and of the divine.
You would trust the words of this traitress? She betrayed her country. She slew her husband.
You have ever been an invaluable servant to Sanbreque, Prince Dion. I trust you will continue to serve your Emperor in the wars to come.
The canker! Silence! Insolent wretch! You will bend the knee. All else is heresy.
Sire, forgive me.
This audience is over. Come, your Radiance. The Rowena Syndicate awaits your pleasure.
Oh, not another meeting with silly old men. They're so boring. I'm hungry, Father. Can't we have luncheon instead?
Does it pain you that you will not inherit your father's throne?
I have suffered worse.
Gosh, this scene.
Count your blessings, Dion. For a base-born child to be chosen by Bahamut is miracle enough.
Ugh, this woman.
You have risen high on his wings, but you shall rise no higher, lest your impure blood stain the throne.
What do you know of my blood?
You guys! Oh my gosh! What in the world? Okay, we got to talk about that. That's so good. Gosh, that's so good. Yeah, let's chat for a second. So in this scene, I just have a quick question for you. What do you see? What do you see here as some of the key attributes that we see in Dion here? The things that he is pushing, that his story is conveying up to this point. That scene right there is incredibly powerful, especially given where we are going in the next one. I think it's powerful. So what attributes of divinity, do you think Bahamut may represent? Again, just as a recap, we've talked about power, we've talked about control, we've talked about wrath, we've talked about love or mercy, we've talked about provision and protection. I think it's really, really interesting stuff here. Let's see. Let's look. We've got divine. Let's see. A lot about this vessel of ideology. Yeah. Claymore, I love that idea. Muthos as a vessel of ideology, and that he is almost collecting all of these different things. And we're going to get into that later into the semester. Nickel, just noticed the Dion's dad doesn't ask about Ultima when Dion name drops the name. Yeah. That's it. That's good. It's interesting, isn't it? It was at this point, I think, where I declared we must protect Dion Lesage at all costs. We love Dion. The painting behind the throne reminds me of Tintoretto's Paradiso, which is a really cool piece of art. Yeah, we talked about this piece of art a couple of streams ago, and it's fascinating. Gosh, one of my favorite pieces of it is that you have the holy great Grieger, right, who is a woman in this, and she is standing peacefully with this dragon, which is it is a contortion of the biblical image of Eve or humanity stepping on the head of the snake. And here you have this divine who is standing amidst the serpent, as though the serpent is sleeping at her feet. Notice also she holds this trident, or not trident, kind of a spear, a dragoon, a javelin or spear. This is also the interesting thing if you remember back to when Clive and Jill were going through the towns of Rosaria, and they found everybody, all of the villagers who had been killed and put up on pikes or on spears. This is so similar to the idea of crucifixion in some ways. Hey, Jason, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining the chat. Thank you for subbing. I really appreciate it. But this is one of those parallels, again, to Christianity, where followers of Jesus would have been crucified, some upside down. And in that scene, you have this tool, this weapon in the hands of Grieger being used as a tool of torture, which I think is a fascinating parallel, kind of subverting this idea of the dragoons. Nickel, you say guidance. He's trying to guide his father in the right direction. That's. I think you're really, really spot on there. That Dion has this divine attribute of guiding, but the question is, what's the guidance toward, right? What is Dion's end goal? Where does he get riled up? And where does he, what does he get riled up over, and what is he not? So I think it's really, really interesting. Some of it seems like honor and the difference between obeying loyalties and doing what is right. Yeah, there's definitely some of that as well. I like this idea of obeying loyalties, doing what's right, having this deep conviction. Jason says, I'm not really sure what you cover on your channel, but I was doing a search for 15, and I saw that you were alive. So I thought I'll give you the sub. Hey, I really appreciate it. Just to give you a brief 30-second version, I'm a university professor at the University of Alabama. I did my dissertation, my doctorate in religious studies and Final Fantasy XV. So I teach Judeo-Christian kingship through Final Fantasy XV, and here we're doing Final Fantasy XVI, looking at religious philosophy and stuff like that. I do a series of lecture streams, or lecture plays. They're similar to Let's Plays, but we stop every now and then. We have a brief lecture. So on the stream, we do some education, we do some discussion, and ultimately we're working on some future projects, including YouTube videos and stuff. For more information on all that kind of stuff, you can check out my YouTube channel. Thanks for the sub, Jason. Lady of the Rings, I was really going to say justice, but guidance is really good. That's great. I also like the idea of justice, you know. Dion here is fighting his father toward justice, right? That's the goal. That's the goal of him. And so it seems that he has this deep conviction toward, you're not acting justly. You're not acting in a way that is good toward your people. I'm going to stand in the gap there. And so he's confronting his father a bit in that. I think that that's a really important piece as well. So good ideas, thoughts there. And the idea of guidance, I think that those ideas of justice and guidance can kind of go hand in hand to some degree. So good stuff. With Bahamut being the Warden of Light, guidance is really fitting, i.e. follow the light. Ooh, yeah, good stuff. Dion in the attribute of will. Say more about that, Hovan. I think that's interesting. The idea of will. He also leads the Dragoons, soldiers looking for guidance, get hope from him when he primes. Yeah, that's true. That's really good. I love that. He also, piety, will, or loyalty maybe. Yeah, that's all really, really good. I love that. Love that. Jason says, just played the 16 demo. Super fun. Yeah, it is super fun. I hope that you enjoyed it. Hope that you'll try out the full game. Cool, you're a Lutheran from Minnesota. Welcome. Married a Catholic, and Mass is still confusing to you. Yeah, it can be. It can be. Do they speak Latin in your Mass, or is it an English Mass? Because that's like doubly confusing. if it's a Latin Mass. Unless you speak Latin. No shade or anything. But okay, let's get back to the game. Again, remember if you've got questions, comments, post it in the chat, and we are trying together to make some sense of the religious philosophies of this game.
We just need to hug the coast.
Okay. Hug the coast. When I say justice, I mean more like showing the difference between right and wrong, not just raining down fiery justice in a violent way. Lady of the Rings, that's a really important piece. When I speak about justice, I kind of talk about the scales of justice. The kind of blind, the image in law schools of like the blind person that holds up two scales and is trying to balance the scales. I think in terms of balancing justice between wrath and compassion and mercy. Justice that is only compassion without wrath or punishment is no justice at all. And justice that's all wrath and no forgiveness is overbearing and stuff. So I think that that's a really important piece here. I know I say that all the time, like all of this is really important, but that's a cool thing to think about when it comes to justice. Justice is it's the inflection point, it's the intersection of a perfectly balanced just wrath and mercy. Dion is a good boy. Dion is a good boy. Honor and values for social institution. Order's a good one. I like the idea of order for Dion. That's a good one.
Infiltrating the Dominion won't be easy with the Imperials on high alert.
I guess will, since Dion is determined to serve and aid his kingdom. Yeah, even when he's wrongfully not being favored for the crown, but he doesn't seem to blindly follow his will. Yeah, that's good. Will is a good idea too. Like I said, we'll determine and discern more in our next stream. But this is a good starting point for us, for sure. What are we doing? Walking around? Walking around as though we don't have a bird that does the walking for us? Dumb. If I remember correctly, that flower they're holding is the source of the poison. Yes, sir. That's used to brand the bearers. Thinking about Dion's dad putting the flower into Dion's armor, trying to control him. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's good. That's good. Be a good boy. Now we are going to also deep dive into the lyrics of Ascension, which is Dion and Bahamut's theme song next time, and that's gonna definitely play some roles for us. Good stuff. Oh my gosh. Y'all are so good, man. Y'all are so good at this class lecture thing.
This is where we're supposed to meet Goots, isn't it?
That's right.
That's right.
After replenishing his supplies.
Oh, Goots. About how far am I into this game? I am just a bit over halfway into this game. And Jason, if if it feels like you've been tossed into the deep end tonight and you are missing a lot of context, you can definitely go back into the YouTube archives. I encourage you to watch from the beginning, unless you want to play it for yourself and then save these for when you are playing, and maybe it'll enhance your own enjoyment of the game when you get to it. Ascension, aka Soken being goated. Listen, I think Ascension is at least top 3 Final Fantasy songs ever created. Ascension, Apocalypse's Noctis is always going to be meaningful to me, but Ascension is such a powerful song. I love it because it is almost like a rock opera of his life. I love it.
Approved by the Republican Army will be permitted to cross the border. All who seek entry are to form a line and ready their documents for inspection.
Looks like we aren't the only ones who are eager to leave.
And they're checking everyone.
Can't you make an exception? Not for the likes of you.
Not for the likes of you.
Without that pass. Let's go and find Good, shall we?
Let's go find Goots.
He must be around here somewhere.
Yeah, he's hard to miss. Yep, there he is.
I'll take the large one.
Hey, you Goots.
Oh, Goots. There you are.
Clive, I'm so sorry. Don't tell Nan, will you?
Slow down, Goots. Just tell us what happened.
It's betrayed pass. It's gone. We cannot ride the caravan without it. We won't even be able to get through the flipping checkpoint.
Isn't that the truth
Do you
fits?
remember when you last saw it?
It was in my pocket a minute ago. Then a bairn bumped into me and... Yeah. You don't think that they might have nicked it, do you?
It wouldn't surprise me. A busy market like this is prime territory for pickpockets.
So, to get the pass back, we need to find this child. Where would we even start?
I know where. I've got a pal in Bocklad who might be able to help us. No one knows more about what goes on round here than she does.
Where do we find her?
Over there.
She's the owner of the Crimson Caravans, up that way. Sign's got a red chocobo on it.
The Crimson Caravans.
No
That sounds
time
like such a
present.
Bama thing.
You two go on
A
ahead.
roll tide.
I'm gonna check the rest of my stuff, make sure nothing else is missing.
All right.
All
Meet you
right.
there.
We'll meet you there.
Let's keep an eye out for this red chocobo then.
And the other on our purses.
To the checkpoint.
Had to leave to get charcoal grilled foods. Yeah. What did you miss? Well, we talked a little bit about
Out of my sight, wretch.
Dion. We talked a little bit about Dion.
A finer array this side of the street.
So, you may want to hop back in the YouTube archives and check out some of that. Okay, I don't need any of that.
Gilbert smile upon you.
You say courage instead of will. He just gives big Triforce of Courage vibes. Yeah. So my question would be, is courage a divine attribute? Does a god need courage? So all of these things are like, you know, what are the divine aspects of these things? And while courage almost denotes that you're going against the flow, stepping out from the crowd. And so how does that convey itself in the divine? That would be my only pushback there. But Triforce of Courage, I do appreciate that illusion. Oh wait, a treasure. I've lately been thinking of the concepts of hope and prayer. Say more, some dude. Takes guts to look at someone like Clive and say, I'm going to punch that one.
To the crystalline dominion. Take it or leave it.
It's fair.
We're not here for that.
Then I bid you good day.
Then I bid you good day.
Oh, wait. Don't go, El. He's me mate.
Goots.
As I live and breathe. Goots.
As I live and breathe.
Bocklad. I I gather Lady Karen didn't send you.
Hmm.
So what trouble have you got yourself into this time?
It's me trader's pass. It got stolen by a little bairn.
Light of the Empire. People call Bahamut the Hope of Sanbreque. Okay.
Honestly.
You're the size of a marble.
Gootz told us that you know the markets well. Might you have an idea which little bairn could have done this?
Little
We
bairn.
intend to punish them. We just need our pass back. Then we can be on our way.
I see. So neither of you has a trader's pass either. Not that anyone would take you for traders, but I suppose that's why you came to me, correct? Now, I can't say for sure who took your pass, but I suspect I know why they did it. Let me explain. Ever since the Fist marched on the Dominion, the Republic has been clamping down on any commerce that might aid the Empire more than it does us. Which means traders' passes have gone from being merely a way of easing one's progress to being essential if one wishes to cross the border.
Nickel, I'll never understand the criticism that this game doesn't handle its female cast well. Some of the most powerful and influential characters are female. Yeah, I agree. I don't understand that complaint either. There's a few pieces where Jill, I feel like, has some missed opportunities, but beyond that, like, the female cast is phenomenal in this. I don't understand that criticism. Dion himself, excuse me. Dion himself has that line to Terrence, the side of Bahamut gives them hope. Yeah. Holding back your simping. Yeah. It would also make sense with what Clive does immediately after absorbing that trait. Yeah, again, we will discuss that much more during our next stream, next Tuesday.
Whoever they are, they're ruining the livelihoods of honest merchants, which is why we've decided to take a stand. Will you stand with us? You want to get
Yeah, I agree, Nickel.
And
yeah.
We want to ensure that no more are stolen.
What she does get to do is really, really good. I don't understand the criticisms of her.
Is there any other way?
Anyone else find it interesting about Olivier's deep fixation with his Dragoon figurine? Yeah, that's an important piece, I think. What do you think about that?
Try swimming across the strip. But the guards will definitely spot you if you try and do that. Like, we don't want to get spotted, right?
So either we find the people
Gootz needs to chill.
Or give up all hope of entering the Dominion.
All right. We'll help.
We'll help.
Thank you kindly. But I don't know your name. Eloise at your service.
Clive.
A pleasure doing business with you, Clive.
The Crimson Collar. Especially when you start analyzing what she actually does. Be nice to Gootz. He has anxiety. You're right. He does.
I suggest that you speak with him first.
The furniture makers.
Surely Nan has something for that. Or Taya. Okay, let's go to the furniture makers. Something about mythos tangential stuff, yeah. Ooh, you thought it was something more sinister to Olivier, like toying with Dion and his, by extension, the whole empire. That's fair. That's good.
Are you the furniture maker?
Looking for something in particular? Ah, Eloise collared you too, eh? Then I expect you want to know more.
Stuff which is disproven by the Ultimania? Like what? What do you mean?
For one, that they're targeting the traders carrying the biggest packs.
What does the Ultimania say about it?
Less chance of the mark.
The toy is also kind of marionette, aka a
To
puppet.
catch them. Those imps.
I'll be honest, I haven't read through the Ultimania.
Their eyes must have lit up when they saw Goots.
The fishmonger round by the gate's been trying to track down the children involved. You should go and have a word with her.
Thank you. We will.
You won't find anything of this quality in Twinside.
You should come with me to the Dominion. Life will...
Fish for sale! Fresh salted and smoked!
Fresh salted and smoked.
Ah, sorry. Message from Eloise, is it?
She's asked me to help her. To help you find the pickpockets.
Is that so? Suppose I better tell you what I know then.
Please
For
do.
one, this isn't a family operation. All the traders say the children who stole their passes were dirty, dressed in rags. Street urchins, by the sound of it. We get a lot around here.
Orphans from the wars.
Orphans from the wars.
A few, perhaps. You saw the refugees gathered by the entranceway? They're all looking for a new start in the Dominion and beyond. Some of them take it as an opportunity to rid themselves of unwanted baggage.
Unwanted.
Shame of it.
Whoever's behind this would have to have made themselves known to the children at some point.
And so should we.
You should start with the children around here, then. I doubt they're the ones involved, but they might have heard something.
It's worth a try.
It is. To the children.
Then, questioning children.
Questioning children. How hard can it be? Well, if you've never questioned a child, then you might think it was easy. It's not.
Do you have a moment?
For you? No.
What I want is to know who's asking children like you to pick pockets.
I don't know. Nobody's asked me. What's picking pockets? Do you get paid for it?
No, you get in trouble for it. So if they come calling, you know what to tell them.
Just say no to drugs. What's your anti-pickpocket?
Jug of steak spit for the
I like this kid's gusto.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What do you want? I don't have any money.
It's all right. We're not going to hurt you. We just want
We're
to
not
talk.
going to hurt you.
What about?
We've heard that some very bad people are making children like you steal from travelers.
Literally just
Let
asked
us know
you,
who's
kid,
behind
are
it
you
so we can
calling
stop
Clive a
them.
nobody?
I don't know much about it really, but my friend Honza, he said he had
Honza?
a job doing something dangerous.
Doing something
Sounds
dangerous.
promising.
We need to find him and ask.
Do you know where your friend might be?
He's usually by the tents outside town.
Thank you. You've been very helpful.
My little Torgal is wanting some attention right now. She's up here. Come here, Daisy. / Torgal. Look at the camera. Can you see? No, she doesn't want to do that, but she does want to claw at my leg right now, so.
Come on!
I'm sorry, girl. We will go outside in a moment. In later.
Peaches and pears.
Let me carry your goods. I'm cheap.
Let me carry your goods. I'm cheap. This is one of those parts of the game that kind of drags for me. This series of like, let's go find the pass.
I'm hungry.
Oh, Daddy. Hello, children.
That big fat donkey was easy pickings. He wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know if it's padded. It's just kind of meandering.
Yeah. Wish we hadn't handed over the pass though. Could use one of those things to get out of this dump.
Chance to be a fine thing. The moment they found out, they'd string us up by our guts.
Would they now? Perhaps you'd like to introduce us to these charming characters.
He's pulling a Daisy.
We're in trouble now. What do we do?
You two get caught if
Run.
you want. I'm off.
Hunter, where are you going?
That is the slowest running away I've ever seen.
So that was Hunter, eh? Jill, you watch these two. I'm going after him.
All right.
Time to deal out some justice.
He can't have gone far. I need to find him before his employers do.
This is where Clive bullies a kid.
Did you see a boy run past? He stole something from a friend of mine.
There was a boy ran back there towards the chocobo pen, but...
Thank you.
To the chocobo pen. I would never hit a child. I feel like that's what Clive would say. But this kid is testing his patience.
Shit, cornered.
It's all right, Hunter. I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to ask.
Love the UI on the side. Yeah, that's very MMO of it.
Not like I've got a choice.
I'm looking for the people who are making.
If these children had the mines, they wouldn't steal. Hoven. They yearn for the mines.
Sells the car stones. They said they give me
That's why they play Minecraft.
I knew they were bad, but bread doesn't come for free. Didn't come at all half the time before I started buzzing for them. You know, if I didn't do it, they'd just pick on someone else.
I like that, Nickel. That's good.
Hunter.
You found him then?
Jill. Where are the other two?
Eloise is watching over them. She sent Goots and I to look for you.
Being an aspect of love, yeah. Yeah.
I haven't got your pass anymore, if that's what you're after. I gave it to the car stones. Whatever you do to me, I can't get it back.
That's why Minecraft.
I go against them anyway. If it weren't for their guild, me and my mates would have starved.
No, Nickel, that's awesome. I actually really like that. That's what this stream is. It is over analysis all day long.
Wait, we're not.
Listen, you think you're the hero around here? You are not. My youth pastor did not like that. Nickel, you know, that's okay. One time, real talk, when I was just brand new to the church, I was about 14-ish years old. I asked a question completely sincerely. I was not being antagonistic. I was trying not to be. But I asked my youth pastor,
what are you doing with these people?
If Jesus says that we're supposed to love our enemies,
your sister,
how are we supposed, should we have compassion and forgiveness toward the devil? He did not like that question. He did not like that question at all. Boy, oh boy. But I think that probably sent me down a trail of religious studies. Hey, it is Night Sky Prince. You mean Theo. Boy, it does look like him, doesn't it? My gosh.
Theodore.
That guy.
Sorry about before.
It's a tough one. It's a good question, especially if you're just learning the faith.
Vultures who have made Boklad their
I think it's an interesting question.
They prey on the desperate, stealing from those with gil and bullying those without it into joining their flock. I'd been looking into their activities in hope of sparing the refugees any further hardship.
Yeah, when you're a teenager, it's like, how does this not mesh?
Hunter's a good lad.
I found, oh gosh, I don't know if I should say this or not. I found that for a lot of churches and youth groups, now you should know that I work in religious life as well, in campus ministries at the University of Alabama, in addition to being a teacher. So like I do have a vested interest in people, in students' religiosity. And while I've worked in all of the different sections of religion, one of the things that I've found is that a lot of ministry settings, particularly youth group settings, they want you to be interested just enough to be in, but don't question it too much. And that always like rubbed all over me. Like it just like grated on me. I mean, I once asked if Jesus said he would leave the 99 for the one, would he not have descended to hell to save Judas? Nickel, that's an amazing question. I'm going to tell you right now, I have been working on a book for the last 5 years on Judas Iscariot. That is actually a question that is asked in it. I think it's really interesting, an interesting concept. I think the figure of Judas is fantastically interesting, and my answer to that is, well, wait for the book. That's what we call a teaser, ladies and gentlemen. Over analysis of religious things is awesome. I could write an entire dissertation on religion and politics in Neon Genesis. Yeah. Listen, I gotta get you coming back by any means possible, right? I can't sell the farm in one stream.
What else? We find the cast stones and we crush them. You get your traders' pass back, and I make Boklad a safe place again.
All right then.
All right then.
I think that the story of Judas is one of the most fascinating stories in the entire New Testament.
Don't worry. They'll never know you told
His character, his origins, his motivations, but also his own struggle with faith. I think it's phenomenally interesting.
We'll try this time.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting, especially with the theories about Iscariot. Yeah.
To Leighton's Cleft then.
Oh yeah, there's some great things. In fact, I was telling a small group of students last night about the Judas and the Iscariot namesakes, and some of the origins of those names and some of the things that you can get into with that. It's fascinating. Now, one of the coolest and weirdest theories that I've heard. Have any of you seen Dracula 2000? It's Halloween. You should pick this up. That's a bonkers movie with some theological implications where they say that Dracula is Judas, and that's why he recoils at both the cross and silver. Kind of burns his hand. That's wild. That he's the legacy of Judas. Okay, that's kind of baller. Like, if it was God's will for Jesus to die on the cross, was Judas not doing God's will? Hey, okay, so Nickel, you seem like the kind of guy that I could talk about this to. I would highly suggest Leslie Weatherhead's The Will of God. It is a brief book, but it asks a really tough question. So, like, if any of you come from a Christian ideology and stuff, like, this is a hard question. I ask it to some of my students sometimes, and I just want to let you know, like, it's a good question for pondering, but your answer to this question is going to lead you down some theological side trails. But the question that Weatherhead asks is, was it God's will? Are you ready for this? Was it God's will that people follow Jesus, or kill Jesus? Was it God's will that people follow Jesus or kill Jesus? Now, these are two interesting strands, because if the idea is that Jesus has to die on the cross in order to win salvation for everyone, then the former one, the following him, if everybody did follow him and it was just like, yeah, we believe in you, we're not going to kill you or whatever, then can salvation be won? But if it's the latter, then what about all of the times when people did follow Jesus, and Jesus even said to them, today I tell you, your sins are forgiven, which were between 1 and 3 years before he died on the cross? Kind of an interesting question. But it also asks the question of God's power, and it asks the question of is God able to forgive just by volition, by will and stuff? And then what is the purpose of the cross if that's the case? Now, that's Leslie Weatherhead goes into that, and it's some wonderful analysis. Dracula 2000 is a deep cut. I once read a book that Cain was the first vampire. That's actually a really common thought, and that's the mark that's given on Cain. It's also this idea of blood blood crying out from the ground, his bloodthirst. Yeah. I thought that Dracula 2000 was that he was Judas, which is why the only way to kill him was to hang him as the sun came up. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah. I think my answer is in line with Brian Zahn's sermons on the monster god. That's a deep cut. That's a good one. I'm familiar with Brian Zahn's sermons on the monster god. That is also some interesting theology. Did you know that there's a Christian vampire book that's based on the idea that when Judas died, his blood seeped into the ground, bringing back the dead as vampires? It's called Fields of Blood. Yeah, and that also has some mythological, connections to Lilith, which is another fascinating vampire story. Wild, cool stuff. Never forget if Jesus had an AR-15. Hovind, why? Why are you doing that? Why you gotta do that? If y'all like vampire stuff and religion, yeah, you should watch Midnight Mass on Netflix. Yeah, it's good. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Boy, ain't that the truth. I was not aware there was so much crossover between the Bible and vampire fandoms. Can definitely second the Midnight Mass recommendation. It's amazing, it has surprisingly well-studied Christian Catholic themes. Hey, here's something you may not know. In the book of Daniel, you get, and this is actually well researched, you get an allusion to a condition very similar to lycanthropy. Hey, your name. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate you. You get the idea, not the idea, you get the story of Nebuchadnezzar growing hair all over his body, even some feathers and some razor sharp claws, and there's an idea that he was a werewolf. So that's vampires and werewolves. I did a series of talks on Halloween themes in the Bible where I talked about vampires, witches, and werewolves. It was super fun. Anne Rice is a Christian, LOL, aka the creators of the Vampire Chronicles. Yeah, I can get down with vampire nonsense for real. Y'all, I am just pushing buttons right now. I am just pushing buttons. Yeah. I'm still sad she passed away. Yeah. What a journey this stream has been. I don't know how much lecturing we've done, but boy, we've gone all over the place with this. Pushing the right buttons.
I doubt these were the ringleaders, but at least we know we're on the right track.
You're on the right track. Let's go. Like Lady Gaga says. How might that Daniel story connect with the anthropologist theory that lycanthropy is a myth taboo about cannibalism? I'm not familiar with it. You're not familiar with that theory, or you're not familiar with the Daniel story? Youth group Judas Vampires AR-15. That's the that's the gateway drug with the story. So I think that the real question about that one is, with Nebuchadnezzar, is it's a story of pride where Nebuchadnezzar thought himself to be as great as God, or greater than the gods, claiming pride and all that kind of stuff. And so the idea was that God humbled him by making him like that of an animal, meaning he lost that image of God in him. He lost the that thing that made him human, and that he made that made him, quote, great. So what does that go with cannibalism? I think in some ways it could have some implications regarding again, I am just pushing buttons. Some ideas of how his greatness might have feasted on his kingdom. There's a word there.
Fewer now.
Okay, let's keep going up. Also, that's the name of their ship in the Matrix. Fun fact. What is? What's the name of their ship in the Matrix? The Nebuchadnezzar? Is that it?
Aye. Some of our new recruits.
I'm vaguely remembering this.
Especially the little ones. And Hans has got nimble fingers all right.
It will be a shame when they chop them off. Till then.
We do not chop the fingers off of children. Or anyone, but children. Nebuchadnezzar, yeah. Boy, that's a tough one to spell. That is. Nebuchadnezzar, I think. Oh, Nebuchadnezzar, aka how many times do I got to teach you this lesson, old man? Yeah. Bow, bow, bow. Can't spell it, but sure is fun to say. Nebuchadnezzar, like Mesopotamia. Ugh. Dodge better. Ah! Ah! Look at him go. Thank you, Theodore and Jill. I don't want to say they're not doing much, but he just went flying. Oh my gosh. Ow. Got him. On that youth pastor comment, looking back on the times my youth pastor would say stuff like, Tim, I wish you would just be quiet sometimes because I was the kid who always had an answer or question or tried to look at things deeper when I realized I might have some church trauma. Fair. That's fair. That's one of the reasons why if somebody's got a question, I'm going to engage it. And one thing, even though I'm usually the person facilitating the conversation, this is a pro tip for anybody. If you don't know the answer to something, be honest about it. Don't make up an answer about it, or give your best kind of conjecture. Simply say, you know what, I'm going to have to think about that a little bit more, or say, I'm going to find out about that and we can continue this discussion later. It always drives me crazy when you know somebody is like struggling to get that answer and they're like, you know what, like they just keep going with it, but you know, and they know, right? I'd rather give somebody a delayed response than trying to save face. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing. Can I say that? Like, it's okay to say, you know what, I don't know. Let me do some research and check back on that. I'm just now realizing that God of War reboot and modern FF combat is pretty functionally similar. Do I feel I have a preference? My preference is this. Absolutely. I like the... but I do think that that's more of a trend now. With 16 combat, not 7 remake. 7 remakes its own thing.
Now I just need to sort through it all and return everything to the people it was taken from.
We should go and give Eloise the good news.
We should.
Can we leave things here in your hands, Theodore?
Can we leave things in your hands, Theodore?
Oh, and be sure to tell her of the part I played, won't you?
We'll be glad to.
Sometimes you'll never know, and that can lead to some really good conversations, but gotta admit you don't know. Yeah, at some point we traded this idea that religion was an embracing of mystery for an embracing of certainty. And I think that that's been the downfall of religion ever since. Religion at its best, much like myth, much like a lot of things out there, are an embrace of mystery that leads us to deeper understanding, to community, and to curiosity. It also is it's the foundation of both faith and hope. Faith that is filled with certainty, that's not exactly faith, right? Faith can have assurance, but faith can't have certainty by very definition. And we miss that a lot of times. The best of religion is to simply say there's something bigger than us, and your particular set of mythos or myth that resonates with you. And I'm unashamedly from the Christian tradition. That is my home, right? So that's my preferred mythos, and I have a personal theology about that sort of thing. But even with that, I try to avoid the framework and the paradigm that says, I know the answer, right? Even though Christianity asserts that this is the fullest revelation of God, it doesn't necessarily deny the idea that there are plenty of revelations that can point somebody to thoughts of the divine. And I think that is also a key piece to understanding humanity. It also helps you understand your own faith, your own perspectives a little bit better. So, sometimes you'll never know. I've heard it said that cradle Catholics, and this can apply to anyone who didn't convert into the religion, are actually at a disadvantage because they just marinated in everything, whereas those who look at the conversion tend to be more actively curious, and I 100% agree. Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about, say, the New Testament. Everyone in the New Testament was a convert to the faith. No one was born into it. And when people began getting born into it, that's when you started to see kind of this confusion as far as, so do they also need to be converted, or are they simply born into it? That's a conversation that I have constantly with people, usually around baptism and infant baptism and traditions around that. I'm about to go to open my study Bible, but I wrote a paper in undergrad about Proverbs' use of leech, but the Hebrew version translates more Luca, or a human more so than a creature, vampire-esque. Oh, okay, gotcha. Kind of like Clive admitting he doesn't know if what he is doing is right, but wants to give people the choice to wrestle with these things themselves. Gosh, yes. There, I got you. Tied it back into 16. Thank you, Nickel. I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, it reminds me in Acts chapter 17, I think, in the New Testament, where it says the Apostle Paul and I think Silas are preaching, and they're in a place called Berea. And after they finished preaching, it says that the Bereans were of more noble character than the Thessalonians, because they had just preached there as well. And the Bereans went home to consider what Paul said and to search the scriptures and think about the scriptures for themselves. I think that's really, really interesting. That's what I encourage my students to do. So, and to always ask the question of, from what I'm hearing, what's my perspective on that? Be a discern knowledge, right? I think that's really, really interesting. Dragoon Knight, thank you for the lurk. I'm having a great stream. Thank you for hopping in. I'm glad that you love 16. Thanks for hopping in. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a good night. Thanks for the lurk. Then there's people like me that were born into it, but always curious about it and a lot of things. Yeah. Also, the Romanization of the church is like the root of all our problems with religion. Fits. Don't even get me started. Oh my gosh, that's a different lecture. Another reason to think about them every day. Yeah, that's why I think about them every day. Literally all day, every day. Organized Christian religion, I should say. Yeah, as much as I love that Constantine became a Christian, I think that's really cool. Institutionalizing that, moving it from the living rooms, so to speak, the homes, into an institutionalized row by row set of religion where there is an authority structure, power structure, and it's not a priesthood of believers, of lay people, really in some ways created some issues, dilution, of this quote ministry and task of all people. I think that's a thing that I get on. That's a soapbox I get on. Not that it's a bad thing. I think there's really great things about institutionalized church and religion, but boy, that was something. Yes, I'm in seminary now, and I didn't grow up a Christian, so I kind of avoid the issues of deconstructing dogma. Fair. Yeah. My curiosity, which got me labeled unreachable by your pastor. Oh my gosh, Nickel. Listen, one thing to always remember, that not only did Jesus choose Peter and John, the beloved, but Jesus also chose Judas. And I don't know why we're talking about Judas so much. Nobody's betrayed anybody tonight, but okay. You know, it is what it is. Although the problem of certainty versus faith was more a product of responding to the Enlightenment, right? Yeah. And then it was ultimately saved and redeemed by a guy named Richard Hooker, who wrote a work called Laws of Ecclesiastical Polity or Authority, where he talked about scripture, tradition, and reason, and including that Enlightenment reason as part of a theological makeup. Really important stuff. Meanwhile, I was born into it, and I'm so honest in saying there's a ton I couldn't explain or answer, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, I love that. Embrace the mystery. You know, embrace that there are things bigger than you, and some things you'll never know, and that is okay. That is absolutely okay. We learn what we learn, and we go for it. So I love that. Unteachable, not unreachable. Oh, unteachable. Okay, fair. You may be unteachable. I don't know, but you're not unreachable. What a Freudian sort of slip. I love that. Do we need a betrayal? You know. Do we need a betrayal? No. But do we want a betrayal? No, we don't want a betrayal. I went from the Star Youth Group kid to the unteachable one. Ooh, boy. What a time we're having tonight, everybody. Let me go ahead and purchase some potions for next time.
But where would you put it?
It never ceases to amaze me, the conversations we get into in this stream. What a crew. I can't wait till we do 7 remake and 15. Oh my gosh.
Quite the opposite.
This has been a crazy one. It's been so out of pocket and off point tonight, but it's been a good one. I love it.
So it was the cast stones who were behind it all. Theo told me he'd been on their trail, and their demise
15.
Problems at a stroke. That of the pickpockets, the bandits pulling their strings, and the passes they were stealing. I only hope yours is among the items you recovered. Only time and Theo's return will tell. Speaking of whom, welcome home, dear brother.
You are too kind, Eloise.
Hey, Theo.
Here, Clive. Goods' pass. Ask him to keep a closer eye on it from now on, would you?
Mm-hmm.
I will. Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
El, I've asked our boys to carry the rest of the goods back. Can I count on your
Me
help?
prodding my dead faith a bit with all this kind of talk.
I'll make some
Kind of feel a bit of life is still there. Oh.
I expect you'll soon.
You know, I love that.
But it wouldn't do to leave.
I feel this is something that happens in so many of my students as well. You know, I have a lot of students that kind of close the book on their faith, and then when they begin to see and have some of these discussions where their questions start to get engaged a little bit more, and an embrace of that mystery rather than a demand of certainty. Gosh, it's freeing for people, I think. I think it's cool. It was for me. Man, it was good for me. That was kind of my process in college as well.
If it wasn't for her, I'd have been branded as a boy.
I had no idea.
It just so happens that we are seeking to expand our operation. And who better to join forces with than the leader in the field? Wouldn't you agree, Theo?
I would. It seems our purpose is the same in more ways than one. So what would you say to working together again?
It would be our pleasure.
And our honor.
Pleasure and our honor.
Ours.
Here, Clive. This is for you.
Crimson Compass. Thank
What
you,
is it?
Theo.
Elle has friends in high places, while I have associates in lower ones.
One of the themes of this game is indeed the beauty and value of uncertainty. And man, oh man, I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but absolutely, yes, that. Our final stream may be 4 hours long when we finally beat this game. But yeah.
Secure you a place on the caravan. But if you encounter any
Yeah.
difficulties, we would be delighted to provide you.
When we get to the ending of this game, that's when gloves are off and it's like, let's freaking go. What's the point of this game? What's the purpose, the philosophy of it? I'll tell you, when I beat this game, I just kind of had to stop, like, and just like journal, write, for an hour or so. It was just amazing, absolutely incredible. By order of the Board of Delegates, as the bearer of this token bestowed all rights and permissions. Yeah. Oh, it was great. I was just like, this is... And I think that the ending is just incredible. Like an incredible statement about religion, the philosophy of religion, religion at its best, Christianity at its best. There's a lot of linkings to some of the origins of Christian thought in the ending, which we will 100% get into, which I can't wait. Okay, so here we are at the end of this stream tonight. It went by so fast. But I know what happens when I talk to Goots over here, and a series of cutscenes begins, and that's where I want to begin the next stream. So this is where we are going to call it a night. Ta-da! And the reason we're going to do that is because next Tuesday we are going to link back up and we're going to do the Bahamut Dion cosplay stream at long last. It is going to be so good. I liked the vampire Judas wielding an AR-15 part. Those of you that are artists, I need you to draw Judas the vampire wielding an AR-15. I think that would be an excellent Halloween gift to the community. So that definitely happened. I love that. So anyway, everybody, I hope that you have a great night. Remember, we're not going to have a stream on Thursday night. I am on fall break. And so I'm going to be taking a few days off to rest, replenish, and enjoy some things. So, but we'll be back next Tuesday, which is coincidentally Halloween. And I will, God willing, be in full Dion cosplay ready for the Bahamut stream. Cannot wait for it. It's going to be so much fun, y'all. It's going to be so much fun. And in the meantime, be thinking about Dion. Be thinking about Bahamut and what divine attribute he may convey. All right? Everybody, it's been a blast. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday night. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next Tuesday. Everybody, good night. Walk tall. Thursday is fishing day. Heck yeah. Just like Prince of Lucis, King of Fishing. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for being here.